everyone, this is Nicole. It's the afternoon and I decided to record this myself talking because for almost a month, maybe even 2 months, maybe even longer, I really feel like I want to create a podcast or at least record a meditation. I haven't done it until now because I'm kind of overthinking and hesitating and wondering what's the perfect way to do it. And you know, when I think so much about something that I want to do and I don't do it, at some point it just creates this tension and feeling inside me that something wants to be created, something wants to come out, but I'm not doing it, and not doing it starts to feel worse than actually just doing it in an imperfect way. And this has happened to me before in life, where I was like, and we all know this, like we're not doing something or we're procrastinating something because we're either just overthinking. Basically, it's doubt. It's also just fear of the result could not be perfect. The outcome is not as we want it to be. And so we don't even start. And it can also be a form of perfectionism, which to me, perfectionism is just a different word for fear of the outcome not being perfect. And sometimes with this perfectionism, we're not able to finish what we want to create. We're not able to continue with a project, and sometimes we're not even able to start. And I wrote about this before, about perfectionism. I decided to just make that the topic for today because it's the current theme of me, the current feeling of what I'm going through by creating this is just ignoring and dropping this perfectionism. And also just being with this fear and still doing it anyway and just seeing what happens. Because honestly, usually when we do it anyway, when we create it anyway, and if it's not perfect, in my experience, it's still fine. Like it's actually okay. And you learn from it. For me, it's the best way to learn. And it's in a way a scary way to learn, but also a very satisfying way to learn, to just create, just do it, just start and continue and work through it. And if you are not satisfied with the result in the end, at least you have learned through the process of just doing it what you need to learn, what else you can improve, and what you can change. But if you don't even start and if you don't even do it, you'll just never know. Because there are some things where you can read all the books, you can watch all the tutorials and get advice from people, but you will learn to do it by doing it. I'm convinced about that, also from just my own experience of anything that I am doing, that I'm creating. It needs to be, I need to do it, I need to create it, I need to kind of work through that to then learn from that. And that's true for creating and for learning. And in a way, those two are kind of similar. So I want to share with you a little story that I really like, and it really helped me and still helps me to go through the fear of creating something new or trying out something I've never tried before. And it's a story that I have read in a book that's called Big Magic. And maybe some of you know this book. It's about creativity, about living a creative life. And creativity meaning not being an artist. Like we often associate the word creativity with creating, like painting or playing music or writing. But creating can be anything. If you cook a meal, you're also creating something. You're creating a meal. If you are structuring your day or your week, you're also creating. You're creating the structure of your time, the structure of your day. And that's all creativity. So creativity can be anything you do that creates something new that wasn't there before, and it's always going to be new because you created it. So this story about creativity, about perfectionism in creativity, in starting something new and doing something new. And it's a nice little metaphor about people sitting in a car. And so basically you're sitting in a car. You imagine that your emotions are the people who are in the car. So who is driving the car? The car that is your life, and the car that's driving on a road, on the road of your life, the way that the path of your life, the journey of your life. And let's pretend we all have, I would say, fear of certain things. We have anger, we might have sadness or grief or some kind of resentment. And you have joy, you have inspiration, you have curiosity, you have all those moods and all those emotions that make us human. And so maybe they're all sitting in the car. Maybe just some of them are sitting in the car. But for me, and why this story really resonates with me, is there is always fear in that car. That's kind of like my life on the road that is the journey of my life. Because I tend to have a lot of anxiety. I tend to worry a lot. It was a lot more in the past. It's so much easier and better now as I changed the way I live my life. I changed the way I work and what I do for a living. And I have so many healthy practices and habits. So I have a lot less anxiety, but I still have it. And I kind of have to kind of live with it. And the story is part of the explanation why. Because I recently had a friend asking me like, yeah, why do you have to? Why do you need to have the fear in the car, right? This car that is your life. Like, why don't you just kind of kick it out? And I'm like, well, because that's not going to work. The more I start pushing away the fear, the more I start fighting the fear, the bigger the focus gets, and the bigger the whole thing just is going to start into a fight, it's going to turn into a fight. Instead of just taking a different approach and accepting the fear, instead of fighting it, you can say, okay, fear, you actually have a purpose. You have a good intention. So you're talking to your fear, and you're acknowledging that the fear is there for a reason. Originally, the fear is there to protect us. The fear is there to warn us. The fear can be like a gut feeling or some kind of instinct that can be really helpful. It can save our life. But many times the fear nowadays, as we have evolved as humans, and we're living a different kind of life than we did like 100 years ago or 500 years ago or thousands of years ago. And nowadays, like when I want to record a meditation, or when I'm teaching a yoga class, or whatever you're doing that's kind of creative, you don't need that fear, because that fear is not gonna save your life, because your life doesn't even need to be saved. You're just trying out something new, and nothing is really gonna happen to you. But this fear is still there. The fear is part of being a human being and having lots of different emotions. So instead of fighting this fear, the fear is allowed to be with us. The fear is allowed to be in the car. But the fear is not driving the car. The fear is not in the driver's seat, because you don't want your life to be run by fear, and like it's not the one emotion that you want to follow when you're living your life. If you don't want to live, I don't want to live with every decision being based on fear. I can accept the fear. Okay, dear fear, you're here. I accept you, but you're not driving the car. You're not running my life. What do I want? What emotion, what energy do I want that is driving my life? And for me personally, that's inspiration, and it's very close to curiosity. It's inspiration and curiosity for me kind of go together, because when I'm curious about something, I start to learn about something, or start to reach out to people because I'm curious about something, and then usually I get inspired. So I would say, yeah, the one that is driving my car, the one energy is curiosity. And maybe right next to it is, in the seat, next to the driver's seat, can be joy. Just the joy for life that is allowed to be next to the driver and give advice to the curiosity. Where are we going? What's the next turn? What's the next road we'll take? Joy is allowed to have its say, and curiosity is driving, and the fear is in the back of the car. So it's allowed to be there, but it's in the back. And the fear is allowed to say, like, oh no, we shouldn't go there. This looks weird. This road doesn't look that nice. It looks kind of scary. And then curiosity is going to be like driving the car, and it's going to listen to the fear and then say, you know, I hear you, but I'm so curious. This road looks a bit scary, but it's so interesting because we don't know where it's going, and there might be something really interesting and cool and something new, incredible at the end of this road or just on the road, you know? So let's go. And joy is going to say, yeah, it's exciting. Let's go there. And the fear is in the back of the car. The fear is not taking the decision where we're going. It's not taking the decision where I'm going in my life. The decision is taken by curiosity and by joy. And maybe anger is in the car. I tend to have a lot of anger. I tend to become angry and frustrated when certain expectations aren't fulfilled, when certain things don't go the way I want. And we all have this, I believe, every human being, we've all been there where we plan something and it doesn't just go the way we wanted it to go. And the weather might not be the way we wanted or the way we thought it would be, because maybe the weather forecast isn't even true and it's beyond our control. And it's so funny because people tend to be so angry and annoyed by the weather. It's like, can you just accept it, that you will just never be able to control the weather, and just accept it? But there is still going to be frustration. There's still going to be anger. So I'll say in my car, there's for sure also anger, and it's allowed to be there, but it's also not taking any decisions. When the anger and the frustration comes up, for example, about the weather on this journey, wherever you're going in your life, it's like, yeah, that's annoying, but you know what? We're not gonna stop driving. We're not gonna end the journey. We'll just see what happens. If it's not too bad, we'll say thank you to the anger and thank you to the fear for giving us advice and for maybe warning us. We'll take it into consideration, and if it's really necessary, we might change the decision. But the ones who are deciding are either curiosity or maybe joy. So maybe this story resonates with you. Yeah, maybe you can relate to this. And I really hope that whatever you want to create, whatever you want to do, if it's completely new and the outcome is completely unknown and insecure, and there is always insecurity in the unknown whenever we don't really know what's going to happen next. There tends to be insecurity, and I do hope that you just do it anyway, that you allow the insecurity to be in the back seat of your car, or the fear or the anger or whatever. Allow it to be there, and then just say, oh, thank you for your advice, but you know, you're actually not driving. Curiosity is driving, or joy, or you know, whatever you feel is your driving force and your motivation in life. I hope you're able to give the power to that and to empower yourself with that, to go into the direction you feel like going, despite of the fear or despite of the unknown. And I'm very happy to receive any of your thoughts, any feedback, anything you really want to share. It's always so nice to connect with people from all over the world. I know there is a big chance that if you're listening to this, you're in some other part of the world. So I'm sending you lots of good energy. Please connect if you want to share anything. And I wish you a lovely day.